it's Olivia, and welcome back to Live in Literature. Thank you so much for all of the love and support that I've received in my last few videos. I'm so glad that you guys have been enjoying them. Please keep leaving video ideas down in the comments for things that you would like to see me do, and I'd be happy to make a video for you. Okay guys, it's finally here, the start of Maas month. It's finally here, the party can begin. Welcome Sarah J. Maas to the party. If she ever sees this video, I don't think she will.
I will never say never.
But nonetheless, we're happy to have everyone here. For those who love Sarah J. Maas, have never heard of her, or just want to know more, welcome to the party.
Little party never kill nobody.
Grab a seat. Here's a cup of tea. We're gonna spill some tea.
Tea! Okay.
In today's video, I'm doing a favorite author tag because Sarah J. Maas is one of my favorite authors.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
If it wasn't already obvious, because I think it's pretty obvious that I love her. Today, I'm going to be giving you 5 reasons why I love Sarah J. Maas, and just talking about how much I love her, and just doing a big old gush session about like the things that I love about her. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things that I don't. There are a couple of things that I don't love about her.
Wait, what?
Shocking, I know. But today is just all the things that I do love about her. Because it's February and a celebration of love, I'm just going to talk about all the things that I love about her because I think that would be fun to talk about and fun for you guys to listen to. So let's get started. To give you guys a little bit of a background, I started reading Sarah J. Maas when I was about 19 years old in like 2018, 2019. And that was the first time that I discovered her books. It was actually funny because I actually owned the first one, the Throne of Glass book. Here, I'll insert a photo for you. I owned the first Throne of Glass book for like years before I like finally picked it up. I probably owned it for like 3 or 4 years before I ever decided to like open it up and see what all the hype was about. And same thing for ACOTAR. I actually got ACOTAR when I was, which is her A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I got that first one when I was about 16 too, and I never opened it up. And then like the summer of like my second semester of college, I started reading Throne of Glass. And it changed my life forever. Like truly changed my life forever. That entire summer I spent poring over Sarah J. Maas's books in the Throne of Glass series. And I finished that series like within like the month that I had gotten it.
I was obsessed, like on a different level, like an unhealthy obsession.
No, I don't think you understand. I'm obsessed.
Which it already is an unhealthy obsession even now to this day. 3 years later, it's still an unhealthy obsession. Whoops.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
What can you do? But then after I mourned the loss of the Throne of Glass series after I finished it for months. And then finally I looked up a thing on the internet, like what to read after you finish Throne of Glass because you can't move on.
And that was ACOTAR, and that's when I picked up ACOTAR, and I realized, wait, it's more Sarah J. Maas. It doesn't have to end. It just gets better.
Crazy about you.
And then I read ACOTAR, and it was just as good, if not better. And then she came with Crescent City, and it was
Like, she can write for a whole new genre. It's like, what?
she's the reason why I wanted to start a booktube channel, because I could talk about her books and things inside of her books for hours. Hours I could talk to you about Sarah J. Maas because I'm obsessed with her. And I could talk to you about every single book that she's written and every single one in detail and like the minuscule little parts, which I will be doing a different video on that later, but on another note. I've always loved reading, but Sarah J. Maas, like her books were like the thing, like the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Ooh, a straw to break the camel's back.
For me, that was like, you know what? I could do a thing. Like I could do something with all of this passion for books. So thank you, Sarah J. Maas. You're amazing. And I'm so excited to talk about your books today and all the things I love about them. So I'm going to give you guys 5 reasons why I love Sarah J. Maas books and the reasons why I think you guys should read them. Reason number 1, I love her books because she writes
The best characters of all time.
period. Her characters are the most incredible people in the entire world. And then you're all thinking to yourself, they don't exist, they're fake. And I'm like, I know, but they're so amazing.
She's insane. Utterly mad.
I should probably mention this this video will have spoilers in it because I will be talking about specific details about characters. If you do not want to hear any of these details, come back for another video. But if you don't mind and you want to hear me rant about some characters, I'm not going to go too in depth into the story, but I will be talking about characters and inner conflicts and personalities and things like that, and like I did a couple of different like plot points throughout all of her books. If you feel like it's too much of a spoiler, feel free to come back for another video, but if not, let's keep going. Sarah J. Maas writes the best characters, period. She does. They're amazing. I am obsessed with them. Like once again, on like really an unhealthy level for someone of my age.
Have you ever realized how frighteningly easy it is to manipulate someone into doing whatever you want?
Brain, you're acting kind of weird today.
I love them. She is able to create characters with the most complex identities ever. I have never met someone, like never read an author who creates a character that you can follow and understand so in-depthly as her characters.
I love her characters are all very unique. She creates very unique, distinctive personalities for each of her characters.
And I love that.
Some of my favorite characters from her books, obviously the Throne of Glass series, we have Aelin, we have Rowan, we have Kale, we have Dorian. Actually, Kale's on the back burner, but like...
If you've read Throne of Glass, you know why.
What did I ever do to you?
And like, they're all so flawed, and I love that. Every single one of her characters is flawed. There's no one that is just like inherently good or inherently bad. Everyone has things about them that they're trying to like prove or stand up to or like change about themselves, and I love that. I love that her characters are so human, and that's the biggest thing I can say about any of her books in any of her series. Every single one of her characters in her books is so human.
They're so human in the way that they react to situations, and they don't always react in the best of situations. They don't always own up to the mistakes that they made, and they don't always like do the right thing or make the right choice.
But they're always trying, and I love that. I love that you can see how hard they have to work.
You got to work this out.
But I feel like all of her characters have to put in effort and like try every single day of their lives to like be something that they want to be. And I love that because I feel like it's very inherently human of us to want to try to be our best selves. And I feel like I can relate with all of them on a deep level, even though they're fake, which is like, kind of weird.
You're weird, but I like you.
But I love her characters. I think that she writes some of the most, like, she's written some of the best literary heroes in history. And
Period. Sorry, that might be a big statement to say, but like...
You need to calm down.
it's where I'm at, and it's my opinion, and that's what I think. So
I'm right, you're wrong, shut up.
Just kidding, I probably shouldn't say that.
Number 2, she is incredible at plots and world building. Her world building is immaculate. We have Teresian, we have Valeris, we have the Spring Court, the Autumn Court, all of Perinthian, and we have, of course, in her Crescent City series, we have obviously Crescent City and Luanthium. You get the idea. I'll put in the word like right here for like you. This is what it looks like. I don't really know how to say it. Sorry. Like, we just have like these amazing worlds that she's created, and they're so in depth and deep, and she describes them in such distinct ways. Like, I love when she's describing Valeris in the ACOTAR series, and you can just picture it. Like, you can just picture like the rolling mountains and the snow and the little town like in between, and it's all magical and lit up, and I just love that about it. She builds these worlds that make you want to be a part of them. Like, they're so creative. And of course the plots, like, I don't know how she does it. Like, I'm just like mind boggled for the things that she comes up with in her plots. I'm just like,
I would never have thought of that.
and if you've read the Throne of Glass series, you know exactly what I'm talking about, where she started in one place. She started with this story that was very basic, very simple. It was about an assassin going to compete in the king's competition, become his right-hand man. Great. We're like, awesome. We love books about assassins. We love books about badass women doing things. Like, we love that.
Who run the world? Girls!
And by the end of the 7th book, it's this whole new story that you would never have predicted it could get to. By the 4th book, you're like, how did we get here? And it is mind-boggling, because then it becomes this like war among people, and you're just like, how did this even happen? Like, how did we get here?
Like, I feel like that meme of that guy being like,
Are we absolutely sure of where we're going?
Are we absolutely sure what direction we're going?
I just like, I don't understand. She's incredible. And so for that, I have to give her like all the praise in the world. Reason number 3, and probably my biggest reason for why I love her, is how she writes relationships.
I love you.
And I don't even mean just like romantic relationships. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about family relationships. I'm talking about enemies relationships. I'm
talking about romantic relationships.
The way that she writes relationships. I would literally give my left arm just to like know what she does to like create this kind of relationship.
That's 'cause you're crazy.
I remember when I was reading Crescent City for the first time, and you have the relationship between our main character Bryce and her best friend Danica. And I just remember thinking about their relationship and being like, that's me and my best friend. Like, that's me and my friend. Like, that's our relationship. Like, that's us. Like, that's like the kind of love that they have for each other that she poured into their relationship. I was just like, I felt it on a deep emotional level. And so like during the entirety of Crescent City, I was always thinking about like my own friendships that I have. And it just made me like appreciate them all the more from reading Crescent City. And then the way that she writes romantic relationships, I can't. Because it's similar to how she writes about her characters, is that it's a struggle. It doesn't just happen. It builds over time. It's always like step by step.
Did anyone ever tell you that your tenacity can be intimidating?
Yes, every month of my life since 4th grade.
That's what I feel like a lot of authors, like, so not a lot of authors, but I feel like this happens a lot, where authors show you an empty, like a beautiful house, and then they take all the furniture out and they're like, and you're like, where's all this, like, where's all of like the details?
There's like, I wanted this house to be built from the ground up.
I wanted you to build this relationship piece by piece. I wanted to watch every single piece of brick and cement gets put into the foundation of this home.
Remind me not to get on your bad side.
To see how beautiful it could be. And Sarah J. Maas does that with her relationships. You watch these people work from the ground up to become dedicated to one another, to become absolutely enamored by one another. And I'll be honest, she writes some A1 beautiful chef's kisses romantic scenes that just like blow your mind. Like the sexual tension that happens when you read a Sarah J. Maas book just between the two mains, like when there's a moment and they're standing in a room and it's just like all the tension.
All the tension.
Give it to me.
And maybe I'm biased because I love her so much and I've always loved her, but I think she writes some of the best romances ever. Like, I think that the way that she develops a relationship between two people is incredible and immaculate and perfect and just all the things. Reason number 4 that I love her, her writing and the descriptions that she gives. And I may have talked about this a little bit when I talked about her world building, but when I talk about her writing, I love the way that she writes a book. Forms words and opinions about people, and I love the way that she like gives you the descriptions about someone, about how they're feeling. A lot of people give her a lot of shade because she uses a lot of words like he growled or like he snarled, things like that. And personally for me, like people are always like imagining like little cats being like
Pikachu?
things like that. And for me, no, it's always like very like aggressive. Most of her characters are mythological and therefore like they're the fae, elves, like kind of like mythological creatures, and therefore they have like primal animal instincts kind of thing. And so when she uses descriptive words like that, I never am imagining like a little lion like
You know?
I'm imagining like aggression and like growling in the fact of like getting frustrated and getting like irritated with one another in that like almost animal kind of way. And so I really appreciate that kind of writing. I think it's really fun. I think it's really interesting, and I think that it like gives you a new perspective on these people. I think it makes you think about like the men and women differently when they're like using those like almost like primal animal descriptive words to describe how they're feeling, and I really like that. And I love that about her writing and her descriptions. It's like freaking awesome. And number 5 reason that I love her is because of the twists and turns she uses in a book. And this kind of has to do with the writing and descriptions, but like
At this point, I don't freaking care.
She writes some of the best twists and turns and climaxes of all time.
her brain is like 20 steps ahead where I think it is. It's kind of like with the Throne of Glass series, like I was explaining how you started in one place and we ended somewhere completely different. She was thinking ahead that whole time. There's so many things that happen in those early books that like I've caught on to later that I'm like, she was telling us from the beginning it was always going to be this way and we just didn't know. And I'm like mind boggled that she can think so far ahead. I'm just like I'm wowed, honestly. I'm impressed.
I'm impressed.
It's true. Like, she thinks so far ahead about these things. Like, she's always planning ahead and leaving like these tiny little tidbits and tiny little like pebbles of like stuff. For instance, I'll give you one. Here's a spoiler. In the Throne of Glass book, there is there's a moment in book 4, Queen of Shadows, where Aelin is talking about after Rowan gets shot and it's like bringing back all the memories. It's tragic. But Rowan gets shot, and she's talking about how the girl shot him, and she says, she shot my, and then she's,
it's like he's trying to speak to me, I know it!
She says she shot mime, and she doesn't finish the word. And if you know Sarah J. Maas, she uses the word mate for like everything. And I didn't even notice this until I went back, but she was trying to say like she shot my mate.
Meaning she almost killed my mate. Meaning this whole time, Rowan has been her mate, and we all had an inkling, but like they would never admit it. And she didn't even admit it to herself in that 4th book. She didn't even admit it until the 5th one.
And so it was just like mind-boggling because she was like trying to say it, and she didn't, like she had written it in there, and none of us caught it until later. Like I didn't catch it until I went back, and I was like, she was gonna say mate, and then she did it, and she left us that like tiny little like tidbit, us thinking like Rowan is her mate. Like it mind boggles me. Okay, spoiler, people who don't want to get spoiled by the 5th book or 4th book, come back. So I am just so impressed with the way that she's able to plan ahead and think about these stories so in-depthly that like she already knows where it's going to be, like where it's going to end, but like you're just not expecting it. I'll be honest, maybe I'm just dumb, but I've never seen one of her twists like coming. Every time I'm always impressed. Like every time something happens, I'm always like, I did not expect that. It's always so shocking to me, and maybe it's just because I'm not smart enough to pick it up, but like I never pick it up. I never do. I'm always like blatantly shocked by like when she does a reveal. She's like, right! What? Like I'm always like, what? Like this is what it was? Like I'm always like really shocked, and maybe I'm just stupid, but like that's just me. So to wrap up my reasons why I love Sarah J. Maas, I know that everyone has their own opinions about her. She's a controversial writer for a lot of people in the book community. I don't know if I'll ever understand why, because I just enjoy her books so thoroughly, but I do understand that like everyone has their own preferences for what they like to read and what they don't like to read. If you don't like Sarah J. Maas, I completely understand.
Wow, Arthur, that's really adult of you.
This month of my YouTube channel might not be for you, but I personally love her and I think she's great. I think she writes amazing books. Take my word for it if you want to. If you trust me enough, go buy all of her books. She's got the Throne of Glass series, the ACOTAR series, and of course Crescent City, which is amazing. Her new book, A Court of Silver Flames, comes out February 16th, and I cannot wait to read it. But thank you guys so much for joining me today on Live in Literature. I'm so grateful for all the love and support. Please like and subscribe and comment down below for any videos that you want me to do, and I'll be happy to film them for you. But thank you so much again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Yes, that one's so good.